generations back, slicing through the noise with a culture attack. Pop culture films in the world we see, deleted scenes where the truth runs free. Take care, stay strong, we're breaking the mold. Be safe, stay healthy, let the story unfold. From watch parties with views to the news we spin. Deleted scenes, yeah, this is how we win. Take care, stay strong, we're breaking the mold. Be safe, stay healthy, let the story unfold. From watch parties, reviews to the news we spin. Deleted scenes, yeah, this is how we win. Let's roll.
Bland. I am Deleted Scenes, human being American and YouTuber Ronan. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's episode of Unscripted. First off, I'd like to say hello to everyone currently joining us on X. I can't see you, but I know that you're there. I'd like to say hello to everyone joining us here in the live chat. First off was Big Al Presents, the host of Films with Friends, the creator of the 10-word review. Usarn G. Thank you, JPRPH1, for the member chat, 20 months. Faithful Blue Wrench, channel member, the Bird Woman of YouTube. Watch out for her channel, Fluff Chick Productions. It's Connie Clary. Friend of the channel, D. Penzak. FKHC 2005, sometimes known as Tim. Now, I am no expert when it comes to comic books. I know a little bit about a little bit. I am mostly an independent. I tend to lean more towards the independents than the big two. So understand that everything I bring up tonight is not based on any information I have gotten from any comic book. You want that? Go. Go over to Nick Weiser. Go to Wakahashi's Tea House. There's plenty of other channels that delve deeper into comic books than I do. Now, tonight I am just going to focus on film. And hello to Aged Boomer. Stay until the end of the show. You'll be autodramatically redirected over to Boomer's channel for Geeky Geezers. So everything I am going to be discussing tonight is going to be based on the films. And I understand that a lot of comic book movies are not comic accurate. Even some of the independents, like some of the graphic novels that I've read that have been made into films, and I'm talking like History of Violence, Road to Perdition, things like that. And then they get to the film and plot-wise they change for whatever reason. Sometimes the taste of the filmmakers, sometimes it's a budget thing. Say what you want about the about like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Let's take that for example. The film has nothing to do with any of the graphic novels, even though I mean, if they had done the graphic novel straight through, I mean, that movie probably would have made like 5 cents, which is honestly kind of too bad. I that's one that I think didn't get a fair shake. But again, my opinion. Hello to our man from the future, Shashi. NFKHC 2005, sometimes known as Tim. Good to see you, sir. So, even with the independent comics, things change between the source material in the film. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. So I can only speak based on what I know. Now, one thing that has to be understood is that even when when you are adapting material for a different medium, things are going to necessarily change, and there's a number of reasons why that will happen. And like I said, it'll be up to the filmmaker, up to the writer who's adapting the material. If it's not someone who, if they haven't gotten someone to write it who was not the original writer, if they switch writers out. Yeah, and all of this. You really don't need me to tell you that things change, and sometimes not for the better. So I get that most comic book movies are not comic book accurate. They're just not. Just like a lot of the video game films are not accurate. You're going to lose things in the translation, and it's too bad because sometimes some of the best parts get left out. So, not necessarily being as up to date on comics as I am with film, I don't always know what's accurate and what's not. I can only judge a comic book movie on the movie itself, because more often than not, I haven't read the comic it's based on. So understand going in that anything I may say tonight, if it comes off as, hey, that's not from the comics, you know, understood, but I might not know the comics. I'll know the movies better than I know the comics. I don't know. Okay, I'll put it this way. And hello to the Toxic Gunslinger, Outlaw Bill. I'll use this as an example. My favorite Marvel movie out of the MCU is The Winter Soldier. Hands down, that is my favorite of those films. Now, how comic accurate is it? I honestly don't know. I am willing to believe that it probably isn't. You know, um, will there be elements there that'll be similar or that are taken from other storylines? I'm sure. You know, I'm sure that they're just, you know, cherry picking what they need. And no, I'm not necessarily saying put the pitchforks away. If there's something that is egregious, call them on it. You know, I have no problem with that at all. I'm just saying that there are things that will change and will be different, and I don't always know what those things are. Not being as up to date on the comics and only having the films to go on. Now, if there is some sort of, you know, continuity error or retcon between the films themselves, you know, then I feel I can come out and say, you know, one thing over the other, you know. Um, but the thing with me is I just want the movie to be good, whatever it may be. You know, if you can't make a good adaptation, at least make a good movie where there's enough there that is recognizable. You certainly saying the books are always better than the movies. Of course, that's always the case. Sashi says it's the same with manga and anime being made in a live action movie. It loses details. Well, there it makes sense because with, you know, you know, some of this manga, you know, or anime, if you wanted to do a live action version, you need to spend $1 billion just to get them. If you want to do them accurately, you know, it would probably cost more than you have, and you can't guarantee success. And hello to the Horror King. All right. And congrats to the Denver Broncos. Clinching your first playoff berth, 12-2 record on the season. 2.5 underdogs at home. Beat the Packers 34-26. Congrats. Hello to Sergeant Giratina. I'm going to be joining the Sarge this Wednesday at 8:40 p.m. Eastern for a discussion on the Charlie Brown holiday specials. Hello to Nate. Good to see you, sir. He says The Winter Soldier isn't comic accurate at all, and neither is the Civil War, and he only borrowed the titles from those two comics to make the movie. Yeah, all right. As I said, you know, still on its own a good movie, though. All right. And thank you for gifting the membership. And all right, let's go over here and see who the lucky winner is. All right. And all right, Cole. The gifted membership goes to the Padawannabe. Congratulations. All right. Welcome to Troy Pacelli. This is my biggest problem with live action remakes. Animation exists for a reason. There's a reason the feature wasn't originally done in live action. True. There's so much that can be done in animation that can't be done in live action. Hello to Nutters Network. And Netter has been a member for 17 months. Thank you. All right. Well, so you might be wondering what's got me thinking of this? Why am I suddenly going down the road of comic book movies when I could be talking about any one of a number of subjects? Well, one thing is that, it's the end of the year, it's almost Christmas. I think and I really didn't want to go into like a dark subject, or any kind of dark subject matter. But I wanted to pick something that was still topical. And thank you, Nate, for the member chat. Member for 13 months. Horking says most live action movies use so much CG. The movie looks more like a video game than a live action movie. True. Case in point, the live action Disney films. Now, what got me on this subject? Well, seeing what's going on behind the scenes with the upcoming Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday film, and the amount of money that it's going to cost. The first thing being all of the actors that are going to be in the film. They are going to have a certain amount that they are going to ask for. Some of them have grown to the point over the years that they certainly do deserve the paycheck. Some more than others, I would say. But you have to think it's going to be a chunk of green just paying for Downey and the Russo brothers alone, let alone everyone else who's going to be coming back. Now, the fact that they're shooting in the UK, it will be publicly known how much money was spent just in the production of the film. And that marketing is going to be a big part of that. So you have to add the marketing. You got to take that into account as well. And as D. Pensac is bringing up here, also the back end point deals. Exactly. you're looking potentially at the most expensive movie ever made. The point is are they going to be able to make that money back? Or have they lost too much of their audience with the last couple of phases and going into the whole DEI thing? And let's put that aside for a minute because I think that's for another show. I don't want to go into the whole DEI element because that's only a symptom of the problem. It's I'm trying to take this from two angles. One is the financial angle, and the other one is the fact that they have chased a lot of the film goers away from going to the theater to actually see a movie. There are so many ways that you can see a movie now. Now, I am not saying that Avengers Doomsday is going to be a movie that's going to be on digital in 17 days, you know, like some smaller film might. It's going to be in theaters, and I think it's going to be in theaters for a while. It's definitely going to get 45 days in theaters. I'll grant that. Now, how many people in the meantime choose to go? And really it's going to be word of mouth. And it's going to be people going back and watching the movie multiple times. And they need to get back to where they were. They need to get back to basics. They need to go back to the original Avengers. The original Avengers film, way back in phase 1. Now, Boomer brings up the multiverse, which they did get lost in. Now, here is their chance. And I don't know how much of this is true and how much of this is rumor. So take it with a grain of salt. Now, supposedly, the plot of Doomsday is going to erase everything that happened between now and Endgame. Everything after Endgame. Now, I don't know if that's the case. I have to think plot-wise, Steve Rogers going back and staying in the past as he does, and having this whole life with Peggy Carter. I have to think that has some kind of effect on the timeline, which supposedly that's the story, is that Steve going back and staying in the past causes something to happen in the future, to Doctor Doom's family. So it's all about Doctor Doom going after Steve because he sees Steve as being responsible for the death of his family. That's the plot line I've heard. I don't know if that's the case, but I one of the things they may need to do to get the fans back is to, just decanonize, um, those other films. And that's not a cure all. You're still going to have plot holes. There are still things that are going to need to be explained. Is this another future? Is it a possible future? You don't really know. And we're never really going to know until we see the film. And what I'm hearing from behind the scenes is not really impressing me because actors playing off of nothing, who have probably been, you know on in front of some green screen in a room all by themselves, and you have actors who are saying, we don't know who we were in the scene with. I didn't see a script, or the script changed multiple times. And that is the thing. The thing is, you cannot go into something this big, this complicated, that has so many moving parts unless you have a plan. And we have actors in this film who are saying that they either didn't see a script until they got on set, or that the script changed multiple times, which tends to tell me they don't have a plan. And when you are dealing with what is potentially $1 billion film, folks, you don't need me to tell you this. That is not the way to run a railroad. It's going to cost too much. You're going to need to make X amount of dollars just to break even. And when you've already chased away a good half of your audience, we are, as D. Penzak is saying in the chat, it could be another Cleopatra. It could be another Heaven's Gate. We are looking at what could possibly be the worst failure in the history of film. You get bogged down in this multiverse, in all of this time travel nonsense, in snaps and blips and all this. And it gets to the point where you stop caring because it almost doesn't matter, because there's always going to be some magical bullshit device that's going to come in and, hey, let's make X do Y, It just doesn't work. I mean, I don't know I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know why they think. I don't know why they think that they can push something this slipshod past the audience. We have to make them understand, look, we're not lemmings. We're not going to okay it just because it has Marvel or the Avengers stamped on it. You did that with Star Wars. Look where that got you. You did it with Star Trek. Look where it got you. You're going to kill your franchise if you haven't done it already. All right, you're not on top anymore. All of your movies are not making $1 billion anymore. This is triage, my friend. You're in the ER and you are dying. In case you haven't noticed. The audience is no longer there. And you can, and I know I'm crossing franchises, and I did it in the thumbnail on purpose, folks. You can't have Doctor Doom just walk into the TARDIS and go back and fix things. It's too late for that. It's got to be a total overhaul or nothing. You have everything riding on this, and it's not going to matter. Anything you have on Disney Plus is not going to matter. I wouldn't even bother planning Secret Wars right now because you might not have an audience left for this. And it's not superhero movie fatigue. It's not even mediocre movie fatigue, people. You chased away the fans. And it's a shame. It probably will be on streaming in 17 days. I don't think it'll have the legs to go longer. It might not. I think it might have a bit of a chance. I think there'll be some normies there who will who might push it along if the movie is good. Let's I don't want to dismiss it out of hand. Let's say that it is good. And like I said, it goes back to basics. Excuse me. It might have a shot at going longer. And I think personally, it'll get that. It could get that 45-day theatrical window. But if it is something on the level of what we've seen out of the last two phases, then yeah, then it will. I'm not ready to sit Doomsday into Eternals or Marvel section just yet. But it's a possibility. Nate says, I have to say there are times that they definitely shouldn't follow the source material. Like with Tom King's Supergirl, The Woman in Tomorrow book was trash. Gunn has changed the visuals, so maybe. Yeah. Yeah, the less Tom King, the better, honestly. Uh, he could change the story to make it better, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Doomsday is Doom. They've already spent more money on this movie. They started filming without a script, I remind you, than their first three Marvel movies. You see, um, yeah. We do cross the cinema with the vampire, Frostbite. Yep. Problem is, they don't have the discernment to determine initiatives shouldn't follow the source material. They use the worst of the MCU in New 52 to justify. See, we followed the source material, but stuff the fans didn't like in the first place. Yeah, that's another thing. Is if you're going to adapt a comic book run that failed, then you're going to make a movie that's going to fail. That's just how it is. I didn't make the rules. It's just how it is. And you can't blame the fans for that. If that's the plot line, it's a stupid one because how Victor Von Doom noted Steve Rogers' actions changed the timeline, he would have no knowledge. I don't know if that's the plot. If that's the plot line, that's just the rumor. Like I said, that's just the rumors that we've heard up to this point. But the fact, I mean, here's the thing: this is a movie that's not going to come out until next year. So there is time to change some things if they can. But the question there is also, should they? And how much more money is it going to cost them to change anything? Eventually, you have to stop shooting. You have to put the film to bed. You have to finalize the special effects. You have to lock down the film. You need time for this to be done. You don't you're not Thanos. You can't just snap your fingers and have whatever you want happen. It takes time. And you're running out of it. You are running out of it, Marvel. You think when they go so far over a reasonable budget, it might just be money laundering? I guarantee it's money laundering. I guarantee it. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. Just need to reverse the polarities. That always works. This kind of complicated, non-linear stories only work when you have a plan. It's so clear Kevin Feige is not capable of that kind of planning, let alone non-linear thinking. Yeah. They do need somebody new at the helm, that's for sure. No, they're not even in the air. They're lying on the side of the street, bleeding out in the near. Sergeant is 100 miles away. Yeah. Normies have already left the building. See, as the fans of the comics brought their normie friends to the movies and they chased away the fans. And yeah, they might not. I'm trying to give everybody the benefit of the doubt here. I don't know what the future holds for comic book film. I think it's time in particular for Marvel and DC to just kind of call it the day for a while. Just call it a day because the rate that you're going, you're spending too much money. You're not going to make it back. We're tired of the reboots. We're tired of the remakes. We're tired of the sequels. Go to your neutral corner, take a knee, do whatever you have to do. Because you're going to kill your industry. And you're going to kill movie theaters. And I don't want to see movie theaters go away. And I don't want Netflix or anybody else to take them over either. I want to go back to the way that it was before. I want to go to the movies and be like that 8-year-old kid that I was when I went to go see Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I want that back. And I want movie theaters with their own personality back. And maybe the comic book movies need to go away for a while. But what do I know? I'm no expert. Hello to Away Nation Gaming. Says I'm settling for a smaller goal now. Cool. And he says Zootopia 2 is good. Yeah, I'm hearing decent things about it. And it does seem to be the one movie out right now that's making any kind of money. We have to stop giving Hollywood the benefit of the doubt. They haven't earned anything. There's still the independents, though, and I'll stick by them for sure. But the studio films, no. It's not even about comic book films at this point. Everything you're saying about superhero movies applies to all films, driven the audience away at the offensive BS and audience blame. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing, is that they have so hurt themselves in the eyes of the audience that not only are the quote unquote big tentpole movies going to be affected, the smaller ones are going to be too. It's like a death of a thousand cuts. It's all puzzle pieces, and it's all bigger picture. If you put together all the puzzle pieces, you can see the whole picture. They're not looking at that, and they're not listening to us. We're not trying to steer them wrong. We're trying to tell them what we want. But they're listening to people who are saying, hey, don't listen to those people over there. It's too bad. Godzilla Minus One had a budget of $15 million. It made a lot of money at the box office, yeah. Because everybody was on the same page and you had a filmmaker who had a plan. And not only that, someone who was versed in special effects, because the director of the film not only wrote the film, co-produced it, he also did the visual effects. So you had a man with a plan who knew what he was doing, and he made a successful film. And I hope the next one is good. It's one of the few movies next year that I'm looking forward to. Now, my advice to them would be, take 5, take a freaking knee if you have to, and step back. And just don't do any more of these movies until you have a plan and you're ready to go. You have the story locked down, you have your cast locked down. You have competent people who can do good special effects, who aren't rushed. Who aren't being made to change everything every 2 seconds. And you need to stick to a budget that makes sense. And you need to not insult your fans. And you have to listen to them, because they're not trying to steer you wrong. They're trying to tell you, we, the moviegoers, we are trying to tell these studios what we are looking for. I mean, they're so wrapped up in these test screeners and all that. Look, we're people you don't even have to pay off. We are telling you, we go onto shows like this one and we tell you what we want in a film. We are the people that you are trying to appeal to. We're not the villains. We're trying to help you. Sadly, they didn't see it that way. I want to remind everyone that if you stay until the end of the broadcast, you will be redirected over to Aged Boomers channel for Geeky Geezers. I'll be there in the chat. I also want to remind everyone to come right back here when you are once Geeky Users is completed, and join me for the next episode of Reserved Seats. Writer Albert Lanier will be joining me, and we'll be talking about the future of his channel in the next year. From HQ and all points north, south, east, west, and beyond, good night, take care, stay strong, be safe and healthy, because this is how we win.
It's even odd Neuronan's back, slicing through the noise with a culture attack. Pop culture, films, and the world we see. Deleted scenes where the truth runs free. Take care, stay strong, we're breaking the mold. Be safe, stay healthy, let the story unfold. From watch parties, reviews to the news we spin. Deleted scenes, yeah, this is how we win. Take care, stay strong, we're breaking the mold. Be safe, stay healthy, let the story unfold. From watch parties, reviews to the news we spin. Deleted scenes, yeah, this is how we win.
All right. I didn't forget, I do want to thank everyone who joined me for the show tonight. Those of you who are following along on X, I can't see you, but I know that you're there. I want to thank Troy, Netter, Boomer, Tim, Connie, King, JP, Usarn G, Wade, Nate,
Take care, stay strong, we're breaking the mold. Be safe, stay healthy, let the story
D.
unfold.
Penzak,
From watch parties, reviews to the news we spin. Deleted scenes,
thank you for the member
this is how we
chats,
win. Take care, stay strong, we're breaking
JP
the
and
mold.
Nate. Big Al
Be safe, stay
presents.
healthy, let the story unfold. From watch parties, reviews to the news we spin. Deleted scenes, yeah, this is how we win. Yeah. Steve out on your YouTube, bro, let's roll.